Very warm welcome to you in our today's video. And if you remember our last discussion, it was regarding the intergalactic space. Today I'll be talking about the interstellar space. And yeah, it's a word that may be familiar for many of you who have watched the movie. It's a brilliant masterpiece, I'll certainly say, because the way things have been constituted, the way the celestial bodies have been presented, projected, is really amazing and quite worth appreciating. So, yeah, you can give it a try. It's a big recommendation from my side also. If you haven't watched it yet, do give it a try. But today, the reason why I've used that term is the fact that today I'll be talking about the stars, the celestial bodies that really catch my attention or have been catching my attention for quite a while. Um, the first one of these, of course, is the sun, the big celestial body that lightens up our planet. Has been a big wonder for me since childhood, of course. There was a moment back in my childhood that I remember, I have tried to see what it actually is, and I know it was a very silly thing to do, but I did it honestly. And maybe it was 12 p.m., noon, or an hour past noon, and I tried to just, I'm going to see this thing no matter how it actually is. What the hell is this thing that is lighting up the entire planet? Why is the sky so blue? And is it because of this object? And if it is, what it is? What actually is hiding behind this light? What is there in the center? So I tried to, focus and concentrate and try to see what it actually is. So yeah, although I was able to see the sphere, the celestial body, and I'm referring to the sun, but once I was just done seeing it, when I closed my eyes, so even after, closing my eyes, I could see its after effects to be quite visible, when I'm not recommending it to you, but even by an accident, if you're able to see the sun even just for a couple of seconds, and once you close your eyes, you'll see the after effects. Even when the lids are closed, you'll be able to see some sort of light or bright colors to be visible. I don't know what they are. The physicist or some of you would be able to tell. You can comment also, but that was something happening for quite a lot of minutes. I remember that, and after that, I decided I'm not going to see it again. I have seen enough, and if I have to see it, I'll use something else. I'll use the glasses, the ones that are used for an eclipse or any other sunglasses, but not a direct contact with the sun. So, yeah, the light, the heat has mesmerized and always caught my attention. I found it quite interesting, and when I started studying about it, so and started to understand, I thought that now is the time, based on my once again naive understanding, to share some stuff with you guys also. So basically, if we talk about a star, it's basically a sphere, a big sphere of burning gases that have come together as a result of gravitational force that is keeping it all together, rather trying to constrict it, but it's because of those fusion reactions that are taking place among these gases that are just pushing these gases apart. And that is how a star is able to retain its size. So it's a constant struggle between the gravitational constriction as well as the fusion expansion that is retaining or maintaining, my apologies, the size of this celestial body, a celestial wonder. But that's just one of the wonders. The sky or the universe or the cosmos is full of surprises. We need to see and discover what Hubble did earlier and what James Webb is going to reveal for us with the passage of time. So, having said that, it all begins, or the birth of a star begins from being a protostar, where the process of burning of these gases in the form of fusion reaction begins. Starting, of course, from hydrogen, converting into helium, and then proceeding ahead with heavier elements. But as long as the process of burning continues, you're able to see the fusion reactions and the energy being emitted in the form of heat and light. And that light, of course, lightens up our sky, as a result of which we are able to see the blue color of the sky. as a result of which we wake up and start our routine. So at the back end, there is this big stuff that is happening on that celestial body that we call as the star. So we generally call it as the solar system, our own, but in general, there are many other stars in our galaxy as well as the other galaxies, which and all these stars have their own distinct planets revolving around it. And as a result, in general, we call all these things as the star systems. In our case, if we are referring to our sun and its system, we call it as the solar system. Now, having said that, stars are not always of the same size. For instance, if we talk about just the Milky Way, that is our own galaxy, it's not that each and every star that is forming that galaxy is of the same size. No. All of these stars have their own distinct solar mass, a standard unit that we use to categorize as well as differentiate between these stars on the basis of their solar mass, some having less solar mass, some having the one quite close or equivalent to the solar mass of the sun, and many other stars that are having bigger solar mass or heavier solar mass than the one that the sun has. As a result, we generally categorize them into these three categories, and their behavior is pretty much dependent on their solar mass. For instance, if we talk about the smaller stars or the one with less solar mass than that of our sun, uh, when they are approaching the end of their life, of course, everything has a lifetime just like us, but their life is way bigger than our own, being humans, with an average span. You already know what. You can comment if you like to differ. But if we talk about these planets, these stars, they're like, I believe, if I'm not wrong, billions of years. And after completing their lifespan, what these small stars do is that they convert into a red dwarf once they get short of hydrogen that they can burn to carry out fusion reaction. They turn into red dwarf, and then they like continue this state of burning or retaining that temperature. Like nothing else happens to them, they stay like that for a while. But if we talk about those stars that have the solar mass equivalent to sun, including the sun itself, like it is generally believed that sun has completed half of its lifespan, if I'm not wrong, and still there is a big lifespan that it has to complete. By that time, I'll be gone. Many of you will be gone also. So you need not to worry about it. Plus, you won't be able to see what it actually has to occur at the end of the life of the sun. But what is generally anticipated is that since it has an intermediate solar mass, so I jotted it down the procedure that it is going through or that it will go through. So what will happen is that basically these intermediate stars, including our sun, generally blows out the outer layer of that, the outer gases that are there. First, these will be the one that will be like blown out, and what you will see is a dispersed celestial body, because there will be a white dwarf in the center. A white colored dwarf will be in the center, whereas the outermost layer will be pretty much dissipated, and as a result you will find two separate things. But there is one step I believe that I'm missing. Before this blowing off of the outer layer, this sun, including all other stars that have an intermediate solar mass, they do expand in their size. Before blowing off, they expand and they turn into a red giant. From that red giant state, then they blow off the outer layers, whereas retaining the central core, which turns into a white dwarf. So that is how we get two different states, where we have the outer dissipated layer and the inner white dwarf. And yeah, the outer layer is basically existing in the form of a colored nebula. So you can Google nebula also, and you will find so many beautiful images. that is basically a celestial body or a celestial wonder that has emerged as a result of the blowing of the outer layer of these intermediate solar mass stars. Got it? Now, if we proceed ahead with the third category of the celestial bodies or the stars that have solar mass bigger than the one that our sun has, so in their scenario, many complex things happen. Yes, of course, the process once again begins with the stage within which the star is running out of the hydrogen that it could burn to carry out fusion reaction, and the heavier elements are being utilized to be burned for the fusion reaction to retain the life of a star as well as to continue having those fusion reactions and, of course, the booms of the fusion reaction. But since it all is coming to an end, so the fusion reaction continue till the stage of iron. Iron is the heaviest, I'll say, heaviest most element that that star or these stars with the bigger solar mass are able to burn, or till that point they're able to carry out the the fusion reaction. If we go through that, or if you go through that modern periodic table, you will be able to understand that um, we started from hydrogen and then we start moving towards helium and then I guess lithium, and I believe there are other, yeah. Right now, I do not wish to start moving in a wrong sequence, but that's how it all begins and moves towards the next heavier elements. But till the stage of iron, it continues. But after iron, yeah, this is the stage within which the star is unable to maintain its state, and as a result, it undergoes two things. Number one, it implodes. Number two, it explodes. Implosion is towards inside, and explosion is what you hear or what you always see to be happening in your surroundings. So, explosion took place, or there was an explosion at that, volcano. So, I'm referring to that kind of explosion, not any other. But at a very bigger rate or at a celestial rate, if these things are happening, so these are the stars where these implosion and explosion are taking place. Now, as a result of the implosion as well as explosion, we call this a supernova. There are two options, once again, within which these stars with a bigger solar mass can go. They either can simply reduce in size the remaining part, of course, the central core, can convert either into a neutron star or it will convert into a black hole. Now, basically, the basic difference would be that if there is more solar mass, if a star is more heavy, it is heavier, so then it will opt for, or rather, yeah, the natural processes will lead it towards becoming a black hole. And still, if there is a possibility within which the particles are able to retain their repulsive forces, so in that case, we will have the final stage, which will be a neutron star. The reason we are calling it as a neutron star is that um, it no longer has the atomic structure. The atoms lose their atomic structure that are retaining the star in its central core, that we are calling as a neutron star. Because when I'm saying that they lose their atomic structure, that means that when we talk about an atom, we have a central nucleus where we have the nucleons, the protons and the neutrons. So that is not the case. They lose their that structure within which the electrons are evolving. Everything gets so close to one another that we cannot call it as the atomic structure or the atoms that are retaining to one another. They get so much interconnected. There was a term for it also, like a degenerate form that is retaining itself because the repulsive forces of the particles, but still they lose their atomic structure. But the repulsive forces are still retaining itself to an extent within which the structure is retaining itself instead of or avoiding implosion. because if the implosion will take place, the implosion will start moving inside, and this inside movement or the implosion will be such a continuous process within which the star will continue towards the state of achieving that singularity. Singularity is that central, or I can't even call it as a microscopic point. Just imagine the smallest possible unit, smallest possible particle to which the whole celestial body is trying to go. So imagine, and we can just hypothetically imagine such a thing to be happening, but that's the way things do occur. And this inward movement continues to happen, and it starts engulfing the space in the surrounding. And as you already know, space and time are quite pretty much embedded with one another. So as a result, the space and the time, everything starts engulfing, and this process of engulfment continues to happen. And this state of a star within which it's engulfing everything is what we call as the black hole. And the reason why we call it as a black hole is that it's a celestial phenomenon. If you want to call it a monster, you can, but it doesn't let the light escape also. And everything that you are able to see, or we are able to see, including this video that you are watching, is because the fact that this light is falling from your phone or from your laptop on your eyes. As a result, the brain is creating the entire picture within your brain. Yeah, it's creating the entire picture of everything that you are seeing, plus of course what you are hearing. But imagine if your phone starts sucking this light, you won't be able to see anything. Everything that you will see, or what will be visible, will be blackness or darkness. And this is something what the black hole does, or other are constantly doing. And I'm referring now to all the black holes that are there, not only in our Milky Way, the galaxy, rather all the other galaxies where we have them by all means at the very center of the galaxy. I'm not saying also that is the only black hole that is there at the very center of a galaxy. There are many other black holes, because of the fact that since a galaxy is made up of stars, so the moment many of these stars are moving or achieving or reaching at the end stage of their life, they either become a neutron star or they become a black hole. It will depend on whether they have less solar mass or large or bigger solar mass. And right now I am still overlooking or ignoring many of the other ones that I've just referred to. Of course, in this galaxy or any other galaxy, there will be red dwarfs, there will be red giants, there will be white dwarfs, and you'll be seeing many of the nebula. Everything will be happening because, of course, they do not all of these are having or going through the same lifespan. Their birth time is different, their death time is different. So all these things will vary. This is first thing. And based on the statistics and the information that I got, in our case or in our Milky Way, it is estimated that by all means there are 50 black holes that are there in Milky Way. There are many more, but these are confirmed black holes that are surely there, sucking or engulfing space, light, and time within them. And if you talk about the one around which the entire galaxy of the Milky Way is revolving, the supermassive black hole that every galaxy has, in our case or in our Milky Way, we call it as the Sagittarius A. You can Google it also. And it wasn't that black hole whose picture was shared on social media by NASA. But yeah, you can see the way it looks and the blurred image that was shared on the social media. And you can see that the central point once again over there in that photo or in that, yeah, that photograph, that is also quite black. And it's because the fact that there was no light that was able to escape from that central point that we can call as the singularity. Of course, then there can be a little bit of discussion when it comes to the structure of a black hole also. There is a term for it, if I am not wrong. Yeah, I guess I have missed a very interesting thing to share with you guys, and that is that neutron stars, there are some of the neutron stars that emit gamma radiations also, and these gamma radiations are being emitted in a cyclical way because the neutron star is rotating, and because the rotation alongside the release of these gamma radiations, the way they are captured, so the light appears to be in a glittering form. You see a flash of light, just imagine a lighthouse. So just the way the light is captured, if you see it from a distance, you see, a flash of light and then it's gone, a flash of light and then. So there are many of the neutron stars that release flashes of light when they are tried to be captured by these telescopes, or the way the physicists have tried to capture it. And the way it's interpreted is because of the release of gamma radiation. On one hand, these are rotating and at a very systematic pace. It's very constant, it's very consistent, and plus the flash is coming because of the gamma radiation. And all these neutron stars that are basically rotating and releasing gamma radiation, we call them as the pulsars or the pulsars. You can Google it also. And if you talk about a similar behavior, it is also done by the black holes. There are various of the black holes that also do or emit gamma radiations, and we call them as the quasar. So that was a wonderful information for me. I loved it and I really enjoyed it. And you can, read much more about it. You can search for it. But yeah, when I start talking about it, when I check the time, the video becomes so long that I really wonder that will you have enough time span or attention span to be able to follow each and everything that I'm just sharing right now, because there is still a lot of stuff that is there, but I'll just try to sum it all up when it comes to the black hole, as I've already mentioned. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. The way it is depicted, I've seen it in many of my physics books. At that time I was like unable to get it, but because that wasn't the right way to elaborate it, the way it's actually happening is three-dimensional, and the way it is represented within our books, or maybe the now in a video or on laptop, using 3D animation, we can do justice. But the way I used to read it or find it in our books, so it was like a 2D representation of a 3D phenomenon. So we have a sheet where we place the big sphere, and the sheet drops down, and the way it's dropping down, it is a representative of the gravitational force of that heavier body. Black hole does that the most. And it's not just the black hole that is doing it, rather all the stars, all the planets have a gravitational force, and this is how the gravity stretches the space-time. The more the gravitational force, more is the stretch. So the black hole simply uh, spins all the space around itself. It engulfs it, it simply sucks it, doesn't let anything go. And there is just one point that is, that the black hole is surrounded with, where we see some glimpses of light. That's why we have light around it. And then in the center, there is just blackness. So that is called event horizon, or we call it as the accretion disk. Once you cross the accretion disk, there is no way the light can escape, there is no way any particle can escape. Then the only way is going inside the black hole. So that is why we have this paradoxical situation within which there is a lack of information of what it actually is, because there is no way to find out what it is, because the light that is thrown towards it never gets back. So this is the wonder, this is the mystery of a black hole, which is why it remains a mystery. A lot of research is being done, but that's mostly theoretical because it's hard to see it. But whenever some breakthrough is done, I would be very much happy to share that information with you also. And I believe some of the more information that I have, I would love to share that with you also. But try digesting this 24 minutes also. And if there was something tricky or confusing, you can of course ask, and I'll try to elaborate it in my next video also. But for now, yeah, pulsars, quasars, And just let me just check whether I've covered everything. I believe I have event horizon, yeah, gravitational time dilation, and the point that I have just mentioned, because since the light is unable to escape, we call it the black hole information paradox, because we lack the information, because we don't get the light to study what the black hole is, it never returns. And then those radiation that I just referred to, because of which a black hole is called a quasar, um, we call it as the Hawking radiations, being discovered by Hawking, if I'm not wrong. Please correct me over here, but that's what I heard or studied about it. And we talked about supermassive black hole. Yeah, we got most of the stuff. So enjoy.